Alright, so we are on chapter 4. You are badass. How to stop doubting your greatness and start living an awesome life by Jen Sincero. Okay, so chapter 5 is called The Big Snooze. Wanting to be someone else is a waste of the person you are. That's spoken by old Kurt Cobain. When I first started getting into self-helpery, there was a lot of talk about something called the ego that confused the hell out of me. I always thought that the ego was about being conceited and braggy and all. I'm gonna talk on and on and on and about how grateful I am, and then I'm going to show you my muscles, kind of thing. Meanwhile, even though arrogance and conceit, which are different from self-love and confidence, by the way, are part of the ego, they're not, as I learned later, this whole dealio. In self-help spiritual community, ego is used to refer to the shadow self, or the false self, or the self that's acting like a weenie. It's the part of us that's driving the bus whenever we do things like sabotage our own happiness by cheating on our husbands or wives because deep down we don't feel worthy of being loved, or that refuses to follow our hearts and pursue an acting career because we're terrified to be seen for who we really are, or that goes on and on and on about how great we are and shows off our muscles because we're insecure and we need lots of outside validation that we're going through. In other words, there are more than one way to go on the ego trip. From here on out, I'm going to refer to the ego as a big snooze, or BS for short. I think it'll be less confusing. I think that it's more appropriate since it's a leading cause of sucking, which is staying broke, dating, morons, uncontrollably crying in public because we hate our lives. Is that why we haven't yet woken up to how truly powerful we are, or to know the massively abundant our universe is? Alrighty, so moving forward, the big snooze. It operates according to years. The big snooze operates according to the limiting of false beliefs. This is the garbage that we stuffed into our subconscious as a kid that doesn't ring true for you, as well as the decisions that you made about yourself that are less flattering or empowering. It gets validation from outside sources. I'm doing this to win your love. Your opinion of me is more important than my opinion of me. It's reactive. My circumstances control my life. I'm a victim. Fear-based and extremely committed to keeping you safely confined within the reality that you've created based on the limiting false beliefs, otherwise known as your comfort zone. The big snooze lives in the past and in the future, and if you believe that you are separate from everyone around you, your true self and your higher self, or your superhero self, your non-BS self, on the other hand, is a part of you that operates according to the connection of your source energy. It gets validation from within. I love myself and I trust myself. These things are right to me. I have a purpose and I am loved. So it's proactive. I'm in control of my life. I think that I'll head on out and kick me some ass. Love based and it's committed to creating a reality based on your limitless potential. As soon as you wake up from your big snooze, your true self lives in the presence, not stuck in your head, totally believes in miracles, and is one with the universe. We all experience life and varying degrees of both perspectives. And while I would seriously doubt that there's anyone who's been totally snooze free, most people are so wrapped up in the BS that they are settling for realities that are way beneath what are available to them. Very few people are even aware of what's available, however, because we live in a fear-based society that loves to get all uppity toward people who wake up from the big snooze, blast out their comfort zones, and follow their hearts into the great unknown. Oftentimes, taking up great leaps of faith is labeled as irresponsible or selfish or insane until you succeed, of course, and then you're brilliant. Um, that's because, excuse me, that's because watching someone else totally go for it can be incredibly upsetting to a person who's spent a lifetime building a solid case for why themselves can't. I'm obviously generalizing, and there are plenty of people out there cheering us on. But one of the first things that you might have to deal with whenever you decide to wake up from the big snooze and massive positive changes in your life is a disapproval from other people who are snoring away. Especially the people that are closest to you. Lame as this may sound, they may express their discomfort in all sorts of ways: anger, hurt, bafflement, criticism, snorting every time that you talk about your new business or your new friends. Constant remarks about how you're not the way that you used to be, brow furrowing, worrying, teasing, blocking you from all social media outlets, etc. Surely, you were really going to quit being insecure. Your corporate job to an open nail salon when you got 2 children, a mortgage, and high blood pressure. So, your business succeeds, uh, especially in this economy. Are you worried about what will happen with your family if you fail? Of course, Shirley isn't worried about what will happen to her family if she fails. She wakes up every night seized by panic about it, but she's moving past her fear to create something that she's really psyched about, rather than dying of a slow, painful death hanging around the water cooler with you, whining about how dry the cake was at the birthday party that your boss threw for you and the conference room last week. Excuse me. Even though that they're doing it out of love and concern, having others smear their fear and worry all over you is the last thing that you need whenever you're strengthening your superhero muscles. To step out and take some risks. So I highly recommend keeping your mouth shut around people who are going to bring you down. Instead, seek those who are already totally kicking butt or who are lifting up their foot to do so, or people who you know will be supportive, and confide in them. Because you'll have to know internal freak show. You'll have your own internal freak show to deal with as you try to overcome the objections from your own BS. The big snooze is like an overprotective Italian mother who not only doesn't want you to go outside of her, but who wants you to live with her forever. Her intentions are good, but fear is fully based. Um, as long as you stay inside the familiar risk-free zone of your present reality. The big snooze is content, but should you try and sneak past her to attend a rocking party outside, your overprotective, controlling mother is going to claw, scratch, scream, bite, hurl her body in front of your rapidly approaching new life. Basically, she's going to do whatever she can to stop you, and it's not going to be pretty. It's like whenever you quit smoking or doing drugs and go and withdraw. Fucking worst thing ever, right? And finally, you've taken a leap and done something that's going to massively improve your life, and for days, sometimes weeks, you feel worse than you did whenever you were a wild child. You're hacking up all this nasty crap, ridding your body of toxins, shaking, sweating, puking, wondering why on earth you thought that this was a good idea. It's really fun when you're doing somersaults in your bed and shit for like 2 weeks straight. It's great. I really enjoyed it. I'll never do it again. Um, Same goes for whenever we rid ourselves of limiting subconscious beliefs that have been holding us back and take a giant leap outside our belief comfort zone at the detox of such staggering proportions that sometimes it can feel like the universe is conspiring against us. Trees fall on our cars, our computers crash, we find our significant others in beds with our best friends. We get our identity stolen, we get the flu, our roofs cave in, we sit in gum. When in reality, the big snooze is creating chaos in an attempt to self sabotage and keep everything as is instead of moving forward into the unknown. Yet desperately wasted, desperately wanted. Um, New territory. Every successful person knows this and has been through this. Says whenever we're taking great leaps forward, life often turns to shit before it turns to shinola. I realize that this might seem a bit far fetched, but remember that you create the reality. And you've spent a lifetime creating the one that you presently have largely based on your own limiting beliefs. When you decide to rewire these beliefs, go for what truly in your heart uh, exists and do what massive overhaul on yourself and your world. You're basically murdering the big snooze. And she is going to come at you, rolling pin raised high over her head to beat you back in an old life. We are very powerful creatures who create our realities through focused energy and should be subconscious mind. Should our subconscious mind decide to focus that energy at stopping ourselves from taking a risk because it's freaking out and terrified, things can get a little crazy around here. Um, the big snooze will do everything that it can to stop you from changing and growing, especially since you're attempting to obliterate the very identity that you and everyone else has known to become you. Never underestimate the power of the big snooze scorned. Sometimes the big snooze sets up emotional blocks to try and stop us. Others, she gets physical. I have a client that decided to quit his ho hum yet high paying job to start his dream company from scratch. He had no idea where to start, what he wanted to do, or how he was going to pull it off. And regardless of the fact that he had a family that was counting on him, no guarantees, and even fewer leads, he quit his secure job and went for it and was determined to create his life that he loved. That's when the BS hits fan. He got not one, but two flat tires after leaving a coaching session with me. His babysitter ran into his wife's car while driving his car. The water main under his kitchen exploded, and right before his first big deal went through, he got hit by a bus. I'm pleased to report that he's fine. Even with all of those things that were extremely convincing excuses to say, okay, fine, screw it, you win. He never gave up. Today, he finds himself as his own boss, doing what he loves, traveling the world, negotiating multi-million-dollar deals, making a huge difference in clients' lives, being creative, and setting an excellent example for his kids about living life on purpose. A record producer I work for decided to build her own recording studio. She put all of her money and effort into buying all the recording equipment, instruments, amps, soundproofing, etc., only to have the entire thing burned to the ground almost immediately after it went uh, into completion. Instead of those shades getting into bed and sucking her thumb for the next 2 years, she raised the money when she needed to rebuild an even better studio, and is now rocking so hard that she gets to hand pick the musicians that she works with and basically lives her fantasy life. Sounds pretty awesome. So, if you finally decide to quit your soul crushing job and start the pastry shop of your dreams, be not upset if the truck drives straight through your front window whenever uh, you're making scones. Instead of taking this as a sign that you shouldn't have your own job, take it to mean that you're ridding yourself of your BS and moving in the right direction. Growth ain't for weenies, but it's nowhere near painful as the life that you're living right now if you're not really going for it. If you want to take control of your life and turn it into something as special, um, spectacularly you as the people I've described above, stop at nothing. Have faith. Trust that your new life is already here and is far better than the old. Hang tight if the big snooze pitches a fit. Whatever happens, stay the course because there's nothing cooler than watching your entire reality shift in the perfect position and expression of you. That's chapter 4. Stay tuned for chapter 5.